Moving on, we have proceeded towards the third session today. The session has book review moderated by Bhavya Bansal. Bhavya Bansal is a student of Sri Venkateshwara College, Delhi University. She's pursuing BA Honours Political Science. Being an epitome of persistence, she always looks forward to learning new skills. She has worked in National Service Scheme by heading a project to promote women entrepreneurship and financial literacy. She's an active content writer for various online platforms. She's a passionate Toastmaster who has previously served as the District 41 Creative Excellence Manager and Division E Public Relations Manager. At present, she's serving as Area E1 Director. Bhavya is enthusiastic about guitar, singing, and poetry. By saying no more, let me hand over the session to Bhavya.
Thank you so much, Madam MC, for that beautiful introduction and a humble welcome. A very good afternoon to each one of you present in this meeting. So, how are you all feeling today? Are you ready for some good book reviews? Recently, while I Googled, I read a very beautiful quote and I would like to mention it to all of you, that the best way to thank an author is to review his or her book. And today we don't have one, we don't have two, we don't have five, we have 9 amazing book reviewers with us. So are you all ready for this beautiful journey which is waiting you? 9 books, 9 book reviewers, and let's get started without any further ado. So firstly, I would like to welcome reviewer Mr. Aditya, who will be reviewing the book, The Sacred Games.
Thank you, moderator Bhavya. So, Sacred Games. It's the story of Sartaj Singh, a police detective who struggles to earn a living and has to resort to extracurricular activities to earn his livelihood. He is then given an opportunity, a life-changing opportunity, a career-changing opportunity to save his city from imminent threat. It is the story of Ganesh Gaitonde, born in the turbulent 1980s and 1990s, and always looking for a father figure, cultivating relationships at the highest echelons of the government, going on to become the leader, the savior of his community. It's the story of Anjali Mathur, a raw agent who is basically an analyst that is doing a desk job, then gets an opportunity when Gaitonde returns back to Mumbai to save the city from disaster. The author uses complex characters who all have a past which is flawed, which is questionable, yet the way the characters are fleshed out, each character has its unique, they have their own uniqueness as to how each character goes on. And then the author also talks about the relationship between the nexus, rather between the law enforcement and the underworld or the criminal world or the mafia, whichever term may suit you.
It's 15 hours.
Talking in a manner which makes us question, does this thing really exist? Well, if you look at Ganesh Gaitonde, and when I talked about cultivating relationships at the highest level, this is what the author exactly wants. He then talks about 2 aspects of the city, the people living in cities and the people living in ghettos, yet there is a tolerance for the other. But all these characters have their own mentor, the support cast. For Sartaj Singh, the police detective, it's his commissioner Palukar and his mother, who narrates stories about his father and her own childhood. There is her own childhood of being a part of the partition, which plays a very important role later on in the book. Then there is Ganesh Gaitonde, always looking for a father figure. He finds one in Haritosh, whom he has cultivated, whom he is more than just a father figure for whom. And there's Anjali Mathur, who also has a mentor, her father's friend. So in this way, This book is mostly about these characters, but everything is centered around Ganesh Kaitonde and how his own activities influence Sartaj Singh and Anjali. And there are two point of views in this book. One is from the point of view of the first person point of view, that is for Sartaj. The writer uses I, me, to have a relationship with the readers, to have a sympathy for the readers. On the other hand, there's Sartaj Singh. The third person narrative makes us not like him so much because of his extracurricular activities as a police detective, yet when he eventually solves the case in the end, when he saves the city, we may all like him. If you have seen the TV show, it may distort your viewpoints because there are a lot of points which are not there in the book because of limitations, but in the book it's both of these characters are important. The relationship between Sartaj and Ganesh Kaitonde has been so deeply experimented with and told to us that you won't, if you say Sacred Games, you will say Sartaj Singh and you will say Ganesh Kaitonde. If you have read the whole book, these are the two names on your lips as soon as you read it. Back to Bhavya.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aditya, for your book review. And next in line, we have Tanya Watts, who will be reviewing the book Under the Mango Tree. So over to Tanya.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, so today I am reviewing two books to be precise. One is Under the Mango Tree, which is written by author Bina Pillai. And the second one is Of the Paths, which is written by the author Indranin Mukherjee. I'll go with the book Under the Mango Tree first and then proceed on with the second book. So Under a Mango Tree is written by author Bina Pillai, which is something about the readers, for the readers. Also, it's something which even non-readers can read. Why I'm putting an emphasis on the word non-reader? It's because there are quite amount of people who are not interested in reading every book, but get connected with some of the books. Under the Mango Tree is one of those books. Actually, I like to mention that I even write sometimes. Like I am a writer. Even I have written a book. The title of my book was He Is Still Mine. So I know when we write, there are something which we get connected on when we scribble it on a piece of paper. So Under a Mango Tree is quite that kind of book. It is about a relationship between a daughter and a mother, relationship of her mother with her husband, and the relationship of the daughter and her marriage. It's about everything which is true in this society, but we fail to see this, we fail to notice it, and even fail to take a stand on. So the author tends to write about a woman who is going through a relationship which is very toxic. She is actually stuck in a toxic marriage, and she can't do anything because it's like it's very uncommon, or we say that it's a crime. And I'll mention this word a crime because even today when we take a divorce or talk about divorce, or a woman who tries to take a stand on themselves for themselves, they are always born to live by the family. They're born to live with that toxic relationship. They are born to learn the word adjustment. And so the woman tends to adjust with that marriage, with that person for the rest of her life. Her daughter, when grows older, is now married and goes on to the same circle like like her mother was going through. She was also stuck in a marriage which was toxic. Also, the daughter was allowed to marry the guy of her choice, but we don't know what future has for us, what's the depiction, what's the things which will happen. So she was stuck in a marriage which was very toxic. So it throws a light. The title Under a Mango Tree is used as a metaphor which throws a light on discussion which society always neglects. It also throws light on the things or the issues we need to look upon. We need to look upon that it's not okay to be, it's not okay to be not okay. Like we always say, it's okay to not be okay. Why? Why can't we live a normal life? Why a woman or a man? Why a human being needs to be in a relationship which is very intoxicated, which is sometimes suicidal, which is sometimes disrespect to their own self-respect? Why do we need to continue with that? So this book is something about that. It's also about the inappropriate behavior, the sexual assault, and about the gender inequality. I believe we today are in a position, and it's Independence Day, and it's 75th Independence Day, and we are in a position where we say men and women are equal. But I don't even see this, because nowadays, even I'll not take sides of women, because there are times when even women do injustice to the men and they even can't do anything. So I'll just say, why do we need to play that victim card? Why the women or the men need to play anything like victim card? Why can't they live like a normal human being? Also, the protagonist here is Dia, who throws light on every topic, who is the central victim here, and she tries to convey everything. She tries to scribble it on a piece of paper. I'll also like to tell you all that the lady who has written this book is quite old, and writing in such a age that where we need to write something about things which really needed focus on is something like maybe she has gone through. And won't say she has gone through, or maybe she has seen that. She has tried to convey that sexual assault or inappropriate behavior or the toxic relationship was never okay, neither in the back in the centuries, nor a decade back, or nor in this present scenario. Nothing justifies your inappropriate behavior. Nothing justifies you to be adjusted for the things you feel aren't right. You feel it's wrong. The idea, the plot is really very nice. When I read a book, I am generally into that classic genres, so it takes time to depict, or it takes time for me to read a book. I can't read someone's book, because an author who writes things writes with all the emotions, but as a reviewer we are given a task of rating a book. And when I came across this book, I really feel that this book is something everyone should read, and this book is something everyone should grasp on. The second thing I like to tell is about the cover of the book. We also say we don't judge a book by a cover, but we literally judge a book by its cover. So when I came across this book, I'll tell you honestly, the book cover is quite simple. It has a tree, and it's written in the black under the mango tree. So the book cover is quite simple, quite elegant, and the plot, the characters building, and everything depicts that one should read this book and also attracts you towards the story. My rating to the book is 5 on 5, and I'll really suggest you all to read the book. My second book is Of the Paths, which is written by author Indranil Mukherjee. Just a minute. Yeah. So when I started reading this book, there were times I was really amazed. Like, it is a book based on a crime sequel. Also, the author has played each and every character very, very beautifully and very powerfully. The story starts with a character named Dave, who is a novelist and writes crime sequel. Like, I really want to learn these kinds of writing style where the character itself is a novelist and is writing a story, and the story goes on with the same. Like, it's quite difficult to show something like that, like making your character even a novelist and then making them write a novel, and then trying to portray the character who is writing a novel, and then trying to portray the characters your character is writing. It's kind of confusing and difficult, but the author Indranil Mukherjee has done an amazing job, and the character is quite powerful. The character named Dave is quite powerful, and he is writing a crime sequel. Now, his character name is Tej. Okay, so Tej is a crime investigator officer, and he often complains his creator Dave for gifting him such life. Obviously, can you imagine something like when we write or when we hear something like the character talking to his own creator? Like Dave was a creator, and he was being asked questions by his character that why you are writing such things, why you are making me go through something. I am tired of playing a role of investigator of investigation officer and all. So he too wishes for a normal life, and so I really wanted that. At this point of time, I was really amazed, by the author, like making Dave and his character talking to each other, trying to portray each and everything and trying to make it look real is quite difficult. So I myself love romance genre or the things which are not related to crime, because I am really a phobic. I'll not say it's a phobia, but I'm too scared with the psychological thriller or the horror stories. So like crime, murder, or this psychological thriller, which kinds of brainstorm my brain, is something I keep myself away with. But when I was reading this book, I was really loving it. Also, the character Tej falls in love with a girl, and he tries to tell it to his creator, that is Dave. So Dave wasn't ready to believe it, that how this can happen, but he thought, yes, now I should now change the genre of writing. I should do things which are related to psychological, which are related to psychological thriller, the character building, the crime investigation, and even the character falling in love with someone. So he writes a love story, and it just brings a twist. Obviously, it will, because when you are writing just about the crime sequels and you are writing about the crime investigation, your character suddenly falls in love, and here's the twist. Here's the thing which you need to click on, and yes, the author clicked it very beautifully. Sometimes when we write these kinds of things, it sometimes fades the essence of writing. It also sometimes makes the story lag out. But neither the story was stretched nor it lost its essence. Like, I was really amazed by reading each and every page. Each page I was turning on, I was going through the things which I never thought of. Like, it was a mysterious read, and it was something which I was like, okay, now this will happen. But the twist always had an unexpected reaction to my actions, or I'll say the unexpected actions to all my reactions. The theme, the title, the plot, the characters, each one is very powerful here. Also, I'll talk about the book cover. The book cover is beautifully designed. You can't think by looking into it that the sequence or the plot will change these ways. So yes, the book cover is really beautiful. It's really fascinating, or it's really attractive, that it allows you or urges you to read more about it. The language of the book is quite simple, quite profound, and you all can read it. Like if it's not something only the readers or the one who is pursuing literature can read. Everyone can read, because the language is quite simple. I recommend this book to everyone, also to the one especially who are into crime sequels, who wants to read much about it. And I'll just complete this. Like, my rating is 5/5. Sorry for taking too long for these reviews. Actually, I was really amazed with the books, and here I am. Thank you.
Thank you for those very detailed book reviews, and I can actually see you are very passionate about book reviews and you were driven. So that's all right. No issues for that. But I request all the other book reviewers to please keep in mind that we have only 2 to 3 minutes. I know there is it is very short time to indulge and inculcate whole of the book, but we need to try our best with that. Next in line we have Jaya Bhattacharya, who will be reviewing the book The Station Master. So I would like to hand over the virtual stage to her.
So hello everyone, great to be here and great to see you all. I hope my audio is coming out okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me all? Okay, great. Right, so The Station Master, written by Indranil Mukherjee. I would say there is interesting thing about it is that when you start reading it, you initially get a kind of comfort feeling, and that is because the incidents and the characters and the little things that are there are very relatable. So it, at first when you start reading it, it's something like an easygoing comfort feeling, because you can relate to it. There's a nostalgia. If you have been to small town railway stations, you have seen such things happening, and it just feels like it is basically giving you a nostalgic feeling. But when you come towards the end of those stories, and there are about 10 of them, I think, short stories, as you come towards the end of it, what strikes you is that there was something very extraordinary that unfolded. You sort of missed it because there was no drama that was thrust on you. And it hits you at the end, and you sort of start thinking, okay, what really happened? And as you were reading it, it was just a very easygoing things that that was nothing extraordinary than what you would expect to see around. But it strikes you at the end. And what happens is you think for a few minutes, and that eerie feeling, a disturbing feeling hits you. What happens with that is you sort of want to experience it again. And that is why each of the stories are a page turner. They are unique in each way. They are not the same kind of eerie feeling, not the same kind of disturbing thing. But there is that which hits you at the end, because the story writing is all about giving you a feeling that you are in a natural setting. And that, I would say, is a very classic signature Indranil Mukherjee style, which is very unique and very appealing. If I look at the first story, The Founding, of course, with which I started, I that was the first story of Indranil Mukherjee that I read. So initially, it was just the feeling that, oh wow, this is exactly my kind of ages experience in a small town. When you go to a railway station, the kind of slightly shabby, slightly those old style festivals, those old style faces that you see, bit dusty, bit rustic. And that gives you a very nice, easy feeling. And that gives you a sort of nostalgia, a sort of easygoing thing. And that is how I kept on reading the story. When it ended, I thought, my God, he has written that these are based on real incidents. So actually, these characters exist. And actually, the station master Manav, he lives with this kind of a very intense secret in his heart all his life. And when you think of that, it gives you a feeling that, my God, he hasn't really thrust upon you that there was something heroic going on here. There was something, a very unnatural thing going on here. It all happened in a very natural, unfolding way. And then it strikes you that, wow, these people exist, and there is actually such an extraordinary story that is buried and nobody knows about it. And the character, if I, without going into giving in too much, I would say that the last character that appears, you sort of try to imagine what his face looked like. What does he look like? How is his expression? The guy Uday, who was basically the story. And without giving in too much, I would just say that it is an extraordinary happenings that all these characters have actually lived an extraordinary life. And that got me turning. I wanted to experience that feeling again, and that got me turning into the next story. And then the next story as well was something which is very much like a Hindi movie style of a fight scene was there. Violence was there, but without the Hindi movie kind of a drama that is thrust on you. And that is, I feel that is a very dignified way of portraying stories, a very, where you actually respect the reader and respect the environment and the characters that have been there. And that I would say, I mean, it's a very Indranil Mukherjee style. That's what I would say, because not many places, not many authors can afford to do that, because they need to hold your attention with a kind of clash and bang while something extraordinary is happening. But he has not done that. And that is why I would say that at the end, you want to experience that again, that you missed the clash and bang. You just went on easily reading about it. You missed the clash and bang, but it hit you in a very subtle way. I had a kind of feeling, which I would say, honestly, initially I had a kind of feeling that a criticism sort of thing, that the characters were perhaps not developed so much, where you actually could see the expressions of a character, you could make out how the faces look like, or you wanted to, because they are protagonists, you wanted to go and meet them as a hero. Looking back at it, I feel that there is a huge merit to doing that, because here he's not trying to create heroes. The hero is the content of the story. The intensity of the story is the hero. And the protagonist is actually somebody whose heroism comes out automatically from the strength of the story, without you being thrust on that it is actually something heroic that he's doing. He does the things that is expected of him to do, but he has gone through a very extraordinary set of incidents. All the stories are like that. And there is one protagonist who is Manav, the station master. It is about 10 different incidents, and I guess there might have been more. He only chose 10 of them. And actually at the end of it, I was thinking, my God, there are so many stories, and is there more of them? And is there more with his colleagues that is buried in his heart, and they need to come out as well? Maybe he should write another one where many more stories need to come to the fore. I don't know whether I'm short of time. I'll just say one thing, that at the end, that's what I felt, that the new age readers and the new age audience is now looking for not heroes and heroines who enter with flying hair or has a lot of emotions on their face. They appreciate the content, the writing. And that is the trend that we are seeing. And that is the trend that automatically is there in this book, where you feel the content of the story, the strength through the content of the story. And the characters, you basically go back and revisit them with the strength of the story itself. Sorry if I've been out of time. And I would give it a rating of 5/5. Initially, I had a bit of a think, and I think I finished the story about last year. But it has got me thinking for the last 1 year. A lot of things I've thought about kept coming back to my mind. And that is why I would think it's like a bit like a classical song, which comes back to your mind. And I would give it a 5/5 that way.
Thank you so much, Jaya Bhattacharya, for this beautiful book review. You summed it up really beautifully. I loved it personally. Next in line, we have Shambhavi Singh, who will be giving a book review for Ikigai. So I would like to welcome Shambhavi on the virtual stage.
Thank you. So, hi, I'm reading a very inspiring book nowadays. Do you want to know which book it is? It is Ikigai, the Japanese secret to long and happy life. The book is being written by Hector Garcia and Francis. The book reveals the various purposes of life to achieve a long, happy life. The word Iki, which means life, and Kai, meaning hope and expectations of life. This book gives us so many examples from an island called Okinawa. Now, what I learned from this book? Point number 1, being conscious of your daily routine can lead a better life. Point number 2, discover the real meaning of life. Believe me, it is possible. Point number 3, finding flow, which means interest in everything we do. Now, a big question rises up: how we can get flow? Here's the answer: yoga, meditation, tai chi, which means daily exercises. There is another technique called wabi sabi, means finding beauty and perfection in all incomplete things. In conclusion, I would like to say I think the book is really inspiring with full of live examples. So, do not miss to read this. I repeat my words. Do not miss to read this. My suggestion to this book is if its cover pages could have been colorful, maybe pink or blue, it would have been great. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shambhavi, for that crisp, short, and really good book review. We thank you a lot for that, for your time, for your efforts you have put in this one. Next in line, we have the book reviewer for Start With Why, that is Haritosh Srivastava. And after that, we'll be having few pre-recorded videos lined up. So Haritosh Srivastava, over to you with the book Start With Why.
Do you know the reason between people being crazy about Apple products? Do you know why people tattoo their Harley Davidson on their arms? And do you know why people love the service of Southwest Airlines in US? The reason is they start with why. And I'm talking about the book Start With Why, which is written by, world famous Simon Sinek, the third most viewed TED talk of him, all time famous. And this is his book, which has been shown millions of times already. The book is in 6 parts and it has got 14 chapters. Every chapter has got its own set of stories, its own set of principles, and so many of learnings. And what's more important here is that I thought I can probably talk about 2 concepts that really hit me when I was reading the book. And the first concept was this circle of why, how, and what. Now, most of the times we start outward, where we go from what to how and why. But Simon says that if you want to be really successful, if you want to ace your skills, if you want to grow your business, you need to start with why, then move on to how, and then figure out the what. I think this was an amazing eye-opening concept for me, that you need to have why first. If you don't know the why, that's the reason Walmart failed, because its inventor had known, Sam Walton knew the why, but when his son came over, he actually forgot about the why and moved on to the how and what's. Now, the second concept that I really liked about this concept, which is also part of Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell, he says that only 2.5% of us are innovator. And if you are an innovator, you need to work on the early adapters and early majority, which is roughly about 45 to 50%. If you can win those, that's where the tipping point happens and people will follow you. So great learnings out of this book. I highly recommend if you have not done that. And that is the difference between why you become successful and why you don't. So highly recommended. And I think I don't need to give a rating to it. I would love that Simon Sinek comes up with the sequence of this another book, but love it and highly recommend it. Back to you, the moderator.
Thank you so much, Haritosh Srivastava, for that wonderful book review. And next we have few pre-recorded book reviews. So first, I would like to welcome the book review for Miss Nancy, that is The Adventures of Mithu. So I request Rahul Sharma to please play the videos.
Hello everyone, I am Nancy and today I'm going to give a book review of The Adventures of Mithu. The journey of a magical kitten is such a sweet story of a kitten who is sent to Manaspuri due to his mischief and his naughtiness. It was instructed in order to get back to the place where Mittus belonged to, he must cover up his mistake by doing good deeds. Mittu definitely disliked the Manaspuri when he first arrived, but gradually he is taken care by Krishna and loves the life he is provided with. Each story does not talk about Mittu's magical stories, but they pass out positivity. My personal favorite story is Mittu removed the block. One can understand that our mistakes vanish when we replace them with good deeds, and this book highlights animal love. The author has written this book so beautifully that I've felt like visiting homeland Manaspuri at least once. And the ending of this book is again inspiring, as the decision taken by Mittu is selfless bond. And the author is Dr. Manjiri Prabhu. I overall love this book. Thank you.
That was a really good one. Thank you so much, Nancy, for your video if you are watching us. And next in line, we have the book review from Spriha of the book One and Only Ivan.
The One and Only Ivan is based on a true story of a gorilla. Ivan is a silverback gorilla who has lived all his life in a glass cage in a shopping mall. He doesn't think much about his earlier life in a jungle with his family, as he has made a few friends in the mall. An elephant named Stella, a stray dog named Bob, and a human girl called Julia. Then he meets Ruby, a baby elephant who shows him that there is another way to live. Ivan then dedicates his life to free Ruby from the cage in the mall and reunite her with her family. This is a story about hope and friendship. It inspires one to be kind and has made me think of the zoo in a completely different way. Catherine Applegate's writing is superb yet simple and easy to understand. My favorite part was when Bob popped out of Julia's backpack to surprise Ivan. This book warms my heart and it also makes me sad. But I love that the book has a happy ending. I think kids will love it very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Spriha. That was really thoughtful. If you're watching us, we all loved it. And with this, we wrap up our session of the book reviews and we are heading towards our next session. So may I please invite the very energetic, the very enthusiastic moderator for our next session, or I would like to hand it over back to the MC, Laiba. Over to you. Thank you.
A very elaborate and descriptive review we had there by Aditya, Tanya, Jaya ma'am, Haritosh, our cutie patooties, Shambhavi, Nancy and Spriha, who talked in such cute voices, conveying such important messages. And I definitely have to check these books out ASAP. Adit's review of Sacred Games is now making me want to read the book after I watched the show. And because I watched the show only, I didn't know the city was finally saved in the end. Thanks to Aditya, I can finally sleep peacefully tonight. And in my opinion, I guess Sacred Games was the first show that has transformed the era of OTT in India. After all, Aham Brahmasmi. And as Tanya said, why people say it's okay to not be okay. We agree we all deserve to be okay. But sometimes we all have our down days and not so okay weeks or months or even years. So we say that it is okay to not be okay, so we don't feel alone in the emotional turmoil and feel like something is wrong with us, right? And today I'm especially happy because I woke up to the message from Amazon that my package is arriving. I just received the package and I have the books right here with me. This Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. He's a Russian writer. This is a classic, and I talked about it yesterday. And this Metamorphosis. This is a novella by Franz Kafka. And to dilute the depressing nature of these books, I ordered this 50 world's greatest poetries. So I hope so in like a month, I would be able to review these books also in front of you. So once again, I'd request you all to share our live session on your Facebook and Instagram handles.